Beneil Dariush shares theory for why the UFC isn't pushing him. The UFC lightweight division is stacked with talented fighters and huge personalities. It seems that any man in the top 5 could be worthy of a title shot, but the order might come down to other factors. Dariush is currently ranked 4th in the 155-pound division, and prior to UFC 280, it seemed that he would be next for the title shot. Now, he is back to waiting his turn. He had this to say in an interview with KRGV Sports.
I don't know if it's the fact that I speak so much of my faith, or the fact that I'm just not very confrontational when it comes to the meetings, and in terms of there seems to be this approach in MMA right now on how to make fights bigger. You talk a little bit of smack, you have an altercation in the back room or something. Stuff like that builds fights. So, and you're not really going to see me involved in stuff like that. So I think that's the reason why you don't see me get pushed so much. Also, I'm not a big fan of social media. I try to stay away from it as much as I can. I'll respond to people here and there, but overall, I prefer to spend my time with my family. And so all that plays into it.
Dariush is currently riding an 8-fight winning streak. His streak is the second most among the top-ranked lightweights, only behind the champion. Do you think the UFC should have given Benny a title shot before setting up the super fight between Makhachev and Volkanovski? Let us know in the comments. Nate Diaz takes a shot at Michael Bisping in latest tweet. Nate Diaz is going after Michael Bisping after a boxing prediction rubbed him the wrong way. Jake Paul will continue on his rampage through the mixed martial arts community and is targeting Nate Diaz next. Diaz recently fought out his UFC contract and opened himself up to a match with Paul. They both have expressed interest, and it seems like this will be the next bout for them. Not everyone is convinced that the Stockton native will fare any better than Silva did, especially Michael Bisping, who spoke about Diaz's chances on his YouTube channel.
Listen, with boxing gloves on, I don't think it would be a good idea for Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz was a tremendous mixed martial arts. He beat some phenomenal people, had a tremendous career. You know, he lost some fights and he won a lot of fights. The jiu-jitsu would be gone. The kicking game is gone. Just the general craftsmanship and the game plans and the adversity of attacks, punches, kicks, knees, elbows, strangles, chokeholds, triangles, takedowns, you name it. That's what Diaz can do. They're the advantages that he has over a Jake Paul. If he was to fight Jake Paul and at that weight, 200 pounds, 196 pounds, whatever weight they want to come in at, I don't think it would go very well for Nate Diaz. However, I will say this, I think they will both make a lot of money.
Diaz did not take too kindly to the criticism from the former UFC champ turned commentator. He fired some shots back at Bisping by way of Twitter. The only fight I ever saw by this goofy don't hate me cause you make me MB, he wrote in a now deleted tweet accompanied by a shot of Bisping getting knocked out by Dan Henderson. Diaz firmly believes he is the one to finally take down Paul. Other former mixed martial arts champions could not do this, including Silva, Tyron Woodley, and Ben Askren. Many in the mixed martial arts community will be rooting for Diaz, whether they think he can win or not. Do you think Nate Diaz has what it takes to defeat Jake Paul in the boxing ring? Javier Mendez reveals Khabib's crazy coaching methods. Khabib Nurmagomedov's longtime coach Javier Mendez revealed that the Eagle puts fighters on house arrest if they deviate from his customary or prescribed course during fight preparation. Coach Khabib commands strict discipline and is invested in his athletes' performance, which is visible through his impassioned reactions cageside. Mendez discussed how Khabib Nurmagomedov has established a curfew when it comes to their use of technology during a recent episode of the Schmo Zone.
He does to the fighters. When he finds out they're super tired, he'll curfew for them. I think it was 10 or 11. He'll take PM and go collect their phones.
He'll do that?
Yeah. Yeah, he takes their phones. And also, too, he has a jail at home. When they go out of line, he puts them in jail.
Wait, a jail?
Yeah, jail. He's very strict. You know, you get out of line, you know, you're going in the wrong area. He's gonna. That's what his father did. That's why, you know, it's like you have so much respect for what he does.
The Eagle scored the biggest victory as a coach when Islam Makhachev defeated Charles Oliveira at UFC 280 to become the undisputed UFC lightweight champion. Khabib already has GOAT fighter shouts. can he also become the GOAT coach? Let us know what you think in the comments. Joe Rogan stops Liam Edwards from beating up a hater. Not everyone is a fan of UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards after his incredible win at UFC 278. During a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan spoke about how he stopped a heckler from engaging with Edwards.
Wait,
yeah, don't give that away.
But that somebody was mouthy to somebody you were with who's a fighter, and like somebody's talking shit to like a UFC fighter that Joe's with, and then Joe's like, "Look, man, I know you've made a lot of mistakes in your life, but you're about to make a critical one because this fucking UFC. I mean, if you talk shit to somebody like that who gets upset,
Let me just tell you what it is. It was Leon Edwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some guy was talking shit.
Just talking shit.
To Leon Edwards, and I said, "You are making a critical mistake."
You don't have all the
And I go,
information.
let me just step in right here.
This
First
be
of all,
it.
you're out of line, and you're being a shithead to him for no fucking reason, and you're picking the wrong
guy,
dude. I'm like, that is one of the best fighters on planet Earth. So
Edwards earned the welterweight title over Kamaru Usman at UFC 278 with a head kick knockout in the fight's final minute. The win was the result of numerous fight cancellations, bad luck, and other unfortunate circumstances amidst his ongoing win streak. Edwards is enjoying the fruits of his labor since the big title win. He received the hero's welcome in the UK following the knockout and continues to be positively received by mixed martial arts fans. Despite his recent run of success, Edwards is the latest UFC fighter to be the victim of unnecessary hate and trolls while on the top of his game. Alexander Volkanovski questions Islam Makhachev's recent assurance. UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski feels Makhachev may have second thoughts about facing him. In a recent tweet, Volkanovski urged Makhachev to sign the contract for UFC 284. "Are you a man of your word?" Volkanovski tweeted, "Let's make it happen." Things have been cordial between Volkanovski and Makhachev, despite the latter's mocking of Volkanovski's size. While UFC 284 is still a long way off, Volkanovski hopes the deal can be sealed soon. Volkanovski last fought against Max Holloway at UFC 276, earning a dominant unanimous decision victory. He's looking to become the latest UFC double champion in the promotion's history. Volkanovski versus Makhachev is likely the fight the UFC wants, though nothing is official until both sides finalize and sign off on the bout. Do you think Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski will happen next? Chael Sonnen claims Paul versus Silva was the best boxing match he's ever seen. Former UFC title challenger Chael Sonnen has laid high praise on the boxing match between YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul and mixed martial arts great Anderson Silva. During a recent video uploaded to his YouTube channel, Sonnen, who played a part in the build-up as a mediator for a couple of press conferences, reflected on how Saturday's headliner played out.
When I say it was the best fight I've ever seen, I was into it bell to bell. My text is going off. I got friends that are into it. We must give Paul credit for walking through them. And we must give Paul credit for everything. While I'm telling Chris Camozzi that this is the most fun I've ever had watching a boxing match. To put that in perspective, not only the back and forth action, not only who's winning, not only the drama, not only old versus young and the storylines, it was 8 rounds. When this fight was over, for the first time in my life of watching a boxing match, which I have as my second favorite sport, when this fight was over, I wanted to see another round. If I had my choice, I would have seen another round. I can't say that about another fight.
Sonnen is certainly not the only high-profile individual to laud Paul's efforts in Glendale. The WBC president also showed his approval for the online star's place in the sport, insisting that he's proved himself to be a proper fighter. What are your thoughts on Chael Sonnen's assessment of Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva? Bryce Mitchell issues warning to Sean O'Malley over inbred remarks. UFC featherweight contender Bryce Mitchell wasn't happy to hear that Sean O'Malley referred to him as an inbred after a recent fight pick. During a recent interview with Sportskeeda, Mitchell responded to O'Malley's comments.
Yeah, I'm going to deal with that when I see him. He's going to have to move up, I'm sure. And he needs to. He's 6 foot something tall. He's 6'5" or some shit, He needs to move up a weight class, yeah. And I do believe that we're going to clash.
Mitchell may not have to wait long to be able to get his hands on O'Malley, As he rises the bantamweight ladder, O'Malley has hinted at a future move to featherweight as a part of his master plan regarding his career. Mitchell is usually mild-mannered when it comes to his fighting colleagues, though he took offense to O'Malley's remarks and plans to make him pay for it. Paulo Costa is happy to finish miserable UFC contract and hints at a possible crossover to boxing. Middleweight contender Paulo Costa seems as though he's counting the days until the end of his current UFC contract. Although he has a bout lined up against former champion Robert Whittaker on February 2023, Costa appears to already be considering a move to a different sport altogether in the not-too-distant future. Much like Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, and by all indications, Nate Diaz, who have taken their skills to the boxing ring, the Brazilian hinted at a potential next move in his career on his official Twitter account. "My miserable contract with the UFC was up in a few short months. Will expire in time. A new boxer is coming to town." The 31-year-old was previously under the mistaken impression that his previous bout would be the final fight of his run with the UFC, telling media ahead of UFC 278 that he was unsure of what his next move might be, but that he and the UFC need to talk. Whether or not he'll still be open to negotiations after his bout against Whittaker remains to be seen. That's all for today's video. If you want to know the latest UFC news, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and click the like button so you don't miss any details about the upcoming fights. Thanks for watching. See you soon.